Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. Today after the day job, I am off to check out the new movie, Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. So what's the plot of this film? Well, it tells the ongoing story of the Spanglers and their ongoing quest to keep the ghost-busting business afloat. They've moved to New York City, and well, let's just say things aren't really going as great as they'd hoped. And then while they're there, of course, a big baddie who likes to freeze things shows up and tries to take over the world. So it's up to our friends the Ghostbusters to stop him. New and old Ghostbusters show up to save the day. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am looking forward to this film. I remember back in 1984 when I saw the original Ghostbusters film, my mom and dad packed us kids up into the old station wagon and we drove down to the local drive-in theater and watched this movie out under the stars in the drive-in. Man, it was a great time. And that's honestly what I'm hoping from this movie, is just honestly a great time. So you know what? It's enough of me sitting here yammering. It is time for me to get out the door because I got work to do, and then I'm off to check out Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. Welcome back, just getting home, and you know what, guys? This movie wasn't half bad, but it wasn't half good either. I was leaving the theater slightly disappointed in this movie, but it was okay. It has its fun points. So let's get this started, shall we? We're going to get things started with the negatives and then move into the positives to end the video on the ever so important high note. So the first thing I want to talk about is just the absolutely terrible pacing of the first and second act. This is where everything is being built up, where they're trying to learn who the big baddie is and find out what his weaknesses are and so on and so forth, get his lore and all. And there is some good lore and everything, and I will get to that. But the problem is that it's not very intriguing. The first and second act of the film is very hard to get to be perfectly honest. It is boring. It is slow moving. It is not well paced. And nothing seems to flow naturally. It just seems like we move from one set piece to another set piece to another set piece. It doesn't feel like we're organically going to these areas. It just seems like a sketch comedy show kind of put together. And it's like, okay, now we're over here where Paul Rudd's making some jokes. And now we're over here where Dan Aykroyd is with the kids, and they're having some fun over here with those ghosts. Aren't the ghosts wacky people? And it's just like, that's how the first and second act goes. And then finally we get to the third act, and it's like they go, oh, we totally forgot about that bad guy, didn't we? Okay, here he is. It's just slow and boring and plods along. And I feel like this film had a really great opportunity to shadow the original Ghostbusters film. In this movie, they moved to New York for the first time. Now, when we get to see them in New York, they're already ghost busting. People know who they are. They've already established themselves. Heck, there's even another division of the Ghostbusters in town. And then we don't know this. It's like we missed a movie. It's like we had Ghostbusters Afterlife, and then Prophet, Frozen Empire. It's like, what happened here? There's a whole gap, and we're just supposed to be like, oh, okay, so I guess everything worked out for them. They're doing pretty good. And so you have the first opening sequence, which is, by the way, quite good and a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself, and I thought I was in for a really fun roller coaster ride. But that's it. once that opening sequence happens and your first ghost chase, there's like no ghost busting. There's just trying to figure out what's going on from this point on, and just trying to somehow legitimize this bad guy. And that's just where the movie goes from that point on. There's characters that are just thrown in that you're supposed to care about, I guess. They just really only serve one purpose, and that's to drive certain plot points and certain elements. And it just kind of comes off, at least for the first bit of it, as just kind of a jumbled mess. And the movie is trying to take on a little bit more than it can chew. It really feels like they're trying to build some kind of Ghostbuster universe, but you've missed out on some of it. It just felt like a big empty hole to me. Okay, so by all of that, you're probably thinking, like, what's the positive? So let's get into that, shall we? The first thing I want to talk about are the special effects. The CGI in the film is not half bad. It looks pretty good. I wasn't super turned on, I guess you could say, by the villain in this film. He wasn't somebody that I found too awful scary and imposing or anything like that. He just kind of seemed like he was there. And, you know, that was okay. But for the most part, I thought everything looked pretty sharp and crisp when we got those sequences. Like I said, there is not a lot of action, CGI, ghost busting going on in this movie. It's just mostly a lot of dialogue and talking. So when the cool special effects do happen, they don't look half bad. Seeing the old Ghostbusters back together again, the three guys, it was a lot of fun to see those three get together and mix it up a little bit. And I will have to say, if there is one actor that I am going to hand it to that just really knocked it out of the ballpark in this, it was Dan Aykroyd. Aykroyd just owned it. You could tell that he was dying to get back into the seat of being Ray, and he had so much fun with the character. All of the old school Ghostbusters seem like they slid back into their characters just fine. However, our new team seemed a little stiff in the acting, but not terrible. They were still fun to be had. There was some pretty good solid jokes. I did hear some folks laughing around me. I don't think it was a extremely solid comedy. There was a lot of long gaps without anything funny happening, and it just, again, seemed like it was going to be some kind of like family team drama for a little while. But there are some solid jokes, and when they land, they land. They're pretty good. So the acting, CGI, all of that, pretty solid. I think the actors did a pretty good job with what they were handed, because they weren't handed a whole heck of a lot with this script, unfortunately. So guys, that's all I have for you. I would say if you are someone that just wants to live in the nostalgia of the Ghostbusters and you just want to see a fun popcorn flick on the screen, this might be for you, because that's what it is. It is a fun, turn your brain off, shove some popcorn in your mouth, and enjoy a film. If you need a little bit more out of your movie than that, maybe go see something else this weekend. Alright guys, well that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And by the way, let me know if you like the new glasses down in the comments. I forgot to say something about it. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.